Hello and welcome to a brand new, very special Mother's Day episode of Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm joined as always by the incredible Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello. I could not be more excited for this episode.
I know. And Felicia Michelle is here. Hello, Felicia.
Hello, you guys. It's such a nice day. I decided to walk outside and enjoy the cell phone service that I have.
Amazing. It is a very special Mother's Day episode. Before we jump into season 10, episode 6, Babes, I would like to provide the hotline for anyone who needs it. If you have been assaulted or need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does 4673 spell?
It spells hope.
It does spell hope. So please keep in, if you need help, reach out to them. Also, as a warning, sometimes this show will go dark. And when that happens, we will make light. And this episode being one of Taylor's favorites, I know we will make light. So be prepared for that. Consider this your content warning. If this is not something you're ready for, this is not the show for you. Also, before I bring up our special guests, as a reminder, we have a contest going, and I will tell you more about that at the end of the show. But joining us today for our very special Mother's Day episode is Miss Marcia, who is Felicia's mom. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being
here.
Mommy.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Also joining us is my mother, Yafa. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much again for being here. We're talking about Babes. The episode quick cap is the grisly murder of a homeless man leads detectives to 4 high school girls with a pregnancy pact. After the pact is revealed, somebody drives the girls' ringleader to an apparent suicide. So, moms, what do you think of this episode? Miss Marcia, we will start with you. What did you think?
Well, there were a lot of twists and turns from the beginning of the dinner in the restaurant. I thought it was going to be about them to the courtroom. So I never knew exactly who was who and who was doing what. It did have me on my seat, and I was surprised at the end. And Felicia knows I usually watch all reality TV shows. So this was a little bit different for me, but it was well entertaining. It was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm so happy to hear that. And Mom, what did you think of this episode?
Well, it was very interesting, but it was also very sad. It was so sad to see how it evolves and how people didn't take responsibility when it was due. And from the very beginning, people didn't know how to handle mental health, which was one layer of an issue they touched. And then they didn't know how to handle teen pregnancy. But the most disturbing for me was that I learned toward the end that actually these young high school kids were brainwashed to get pregnant and to make a commitment to somebody who they know in high school. Who makes commitments like that? Adults make commitment and they break them. So you expect high school kids to keep it? And it was very, very sad to see how it broke families, how it broke friendship, how people died. I know that people have to die because this is the essence of the show, but the reasons and it was really hard, not entertaining in an entertaining meaning of the word, but it was hard to watch.
Amazing. Thank you both for sharing your thoughts on this episode. We appreciate you sitting through an episode of SVU, something that we love and talk about every week here. And so we appreciate you taking the time.
We had to pay for it.
Any final thoughts, Felicia or Taylor, before we let our moms go back to their day?
I think
wanted
that's
to
such a
ask.
good point.
Go ahead, Taylor. Sorry.
You go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to ask the moms if they had any lines in the show, because we usually talk about some of our favorite lines or maybe a little bit of dialogue that we like. I don't know if the moms had any favorite lines.
I
Well,
have. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's not that it was a favorite line, but something that did catch my attention. And when I say entertaining, I don't mean that it was entertaining as far as ha ha, laugh, laugh. Because there were certainly things that were talked about in the show, mental health being one of them, and like she was saying, and what was going on in the show. For me, because I watch reality TV all the time, this was quite different.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stuck out to me was when now, I don't watch the show, so I don't know who's who, prosecutor, attorney.
That's
I don't know
okay.
whose job is whose. But it was the one lady, and she was saying to the teenage girl, she was saying, well, what is going to happen now, because you're going to be on welfare and you're going to be getting food stamps, and not every teenage young mom has to get food stamps and welfare. And if you do, it's not a horrible thing. Everybody needs help when they need help. So that's one thing that stuck out to me in the show. I mean, the quirkiness is, when I say entertaining, it was like the quirkiness with the prosecutor, the attorneys. Like I say, I don't know whose position is whose, but it was just the quirkiness in the team that was entertaining to me, not the realness behind of what really happens in the world today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you brought up some really great points. I actually made notes about the like threats of welfare and food stamps, and like it seems like an odd choice to I guess shame someone, which feels so out of place. But also, these kids are at a private school with affluent families, and none of them have been kicked out. So like it was a weird choice. But yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. Mom, did you have any favorites?
Well, actually, there are few parts of the episode that I liked, not because they were what I think, but because the way they were presented. When Mariska talks to the girl and talks about the responsibility and not so much about being on welfare, but this is for life. You cannot give it back. This child, you're going to have it, you have to care for it. I don't know how, I don't know, but she gave a very, very good, strong speech. The other part that I found very interesting was when the boyfriend of the girl who hung herself, Max, exactly, Max was talking to God, and he was blaming God for not answering him. He said, but I asked him and he said nothing. And what do you expect? So it was very interesting to see how religious brainwash affect the behavior of this elite high school Catholic private school children, and they all look like they're well-to-do. It wasn't that they were poor or anything, but still, I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay. I think you bring up very interesting points, both of you moms. Thank you again for joining us. We're going to dive a little deeper into this, but we want to say thank you and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good to see you. Enjoy, and until next year.
Yes, yes,
Day.
tradition.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So long.
Thank you. Amazing.
I loved it. They actually brought up so many good points too that I wouldn't even think to mention. Like there was so much stigma, like kind of presented about like being on welfare and things, which I wonder if that would still be written in today, or because this is a slightly older episode. It's like probably like 12 years old now, and I would hope they wouldn't. I would
thought
hope
about
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, especially because so many people are using like services now, so it's kind of like I don't think they probably would have done that. Not at this time. When was the episode? Back in 2008?
Something like that. Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. I'm taking the show on the road. My bad.
It's great.
I love it.
Just so our moms know, because I see they're still watching, they can hit exit whenever they're ready. But yeah, I want to
surprised if
start.
Munch just hangs out. She's probably just want to hang out.
Okay, that's cool. I want to start at the beginning a little bit and talk about the Burning Man, and how interesting that whole little storyline of these people beating up homeless people,
Yeah.
which is a whole conversation that this whole episode could have been about. Was about, especially as you were saying, Felicia, that a lot of people were displaced because of the pandemic, and so the idea that these people were cleaning up the streets is so odd.
I think this might have had to do with the time. Excuse me, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I think it had to do with the time, because around this time I remember, because I'm just putting age in myself, I was still in high school and people were doing what they were calling bum fights on the internet. Do you guys remember that? And it got really, really big. So I'm wondering if that might have been the inspiration for this particular episode, or some type of influence with it. I thought about that at the beginning. I totally forgot about that part of this episode. And the girl was really unapologetic, which was very creepy. Very creepy. She was like, "I'm good. I'm glad. And I'm going to jail. Fine."
Yeah.
Their performance was this whole episode has so many over-the-top performances, which I love. It feels so campy to me, this whole episode. And there's so many lines. The writers, you guys, you were drinking something in that writer's room, because I have 25 lines that I wrote. They just never stopped. The jokes that were probably borderline inappropriate, but I think
Even
that's what makes this a fun episode.
It kicked off like that. Kicked off with nothing but jokes. I think I have at least 3 of the lines that I have are from the very first opening scene before we even get to our intro music. So
I agree. Yeah, I think this episode, I laughed out loud watching this. Again, to be fair, for anyone watching and being how heartless. When this episode first aired, I was super enthralled. I also watched it live when it aired, because I've been obsessed since season 2. But watching it for the 15th time, it's so funny.
They also put jokes in there. There are actual jokes that they wrote, meaning to be funny. That's why I was who wrote this one? I want to know, because it feels like a tonal shift in a way. It feels very much like they are, some of it you can't take Dizzer seriously. You just can't. You can't look at him and his t-shirt and his tagline and be yep, this is a serious character.
It was very Brad from Malibu. Remember Brad from Malibu, and from that movie Malibu's Most Wanted? No. With Jamie Kennedy.
I remember that. There you go. I got it. Yep, I remember it now. This episode was written by Daniel Truly.
I love you, Daniel Truly. You've created a masterpiece.
Yeah. So this, let's talk about Munch going undercover.
It wasn't very much of a guys. It was pretty much him.
I love that. I love that Finn says this is the same thing he's been spouting at work. Yeah, that feels accurate.
Just louder.
Yep. Yeah. So we find out that the person who was on fire, the Burning Man, was Josh Galley. And the reason he was burnt was because Alec Bernardi set him on fire, because Alec Bernardi believes that Josh raped his sister because he misunderstood that he did her.
Yep. I don't know how. I'd like to know the exact quote to understand how you could misinterpret that, but okay.
He did her. Felicia, are you driving? No, you're in the car.
No, I'm just trying to sit down somewhere where you guys can maybe hear me better. Literally, the technology is working avidly against me, but I'm trying to maintain a certain level of professionalism. But yes, I am in my car. No, I am not driving. Honestly, I would not drive in video.
Okay, great.
The lighting's great, actually.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, now we lost audio.
Oh, shoot.
Felicia, we can't hear you.
Can she hear us?
No.
Oh, no. She's just talking and talking.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
No, I was saying that we're a squad and they're a squad. And the thing that I noticed that was different about this particular episode, I know it's one of Taylor's absolute favorites. There wasn't as much background story of the squad as we were getting. Of course, you got those little throw-ins of Stabler mentioning about being, obviously he's, I hate to say the word pro-life.
He's anti-abortion.
He's anti-abortion. Thank you, Yael. Yes, he made that very clear. And I thought about this. I was like, I wonder if the Stabler in 2021 would say that or have the same sentiment, or has he grown? Because he did a lot of that. They always called him the altar boy, and like kind of pushing him to religion, even having the connection with the school that he had played with them, or against them rather, back in his day. Was interesting, but it wasn't as much of a personal notes in this episode as we usually see like with the squad sometimes.
That's true. I feel like there was just so much that they could not give us that, although they did give us that Munch is a conspiracy theorist. Stabler went to Catholic school and is raised Catholic. Benson is pro-choice.
And anti-welfare.
What? It's
so cringy.
Cringy. It's a little bit out of the realm of her character.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, I understand her threatening them with this, but a couple of things. First of all, I do not believe that these children know what that means. And second of all, I do not believe that that was a choice for these children, because when we meet these kids' families, Tina's mom, Peggy, played by the incredible Debbie Mazar.
Where's the Emmy? Where's the Emmy for this role?
Seriously.
I'm with her in this.
Debbie Mazar says, like, I had her brother when I was her age. So, like, I'm not trying to make up stereotypes, but the like story of this episode was this very like Catholic Italian community. And so based off of the what they gave us on this episode, here's my understanding of this community. And again, I apologize for saying stereotypes. But like these are families that it's important to have family and grow, and they're Catholic, so you got to keep procreating, and you don't use condoms, and you don't have abortions, and you save yourself till marriage, but if you have it as a teen, like, you continue, and your family helps you take care of it, and it's generationals that live together and take care of each other. So at no point was there a thought, and especially with one of the girls, she goes, my parents will help me, or I'll go on welfare, which, like, again, I don't think she knows what it means, or that I think it would have even occurred to her. But
no,
like,
she was not smart enough for that. Like, she's not thinking that far ahead.
The planning wasn't there. These are very much plans of young people her frontal lobes are not fully developed. The critical thinking skills that they need to really think this thing out. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna be great. We're gonna be moms together. We're gonna be like MILFs together or something like that. I feel like that was kind of what they probably thought in their heads. I don't know if that was actually aligned. I know the guilt thing was in there, but
no, MILF was in there too.
MILF was
we'll get to that.
I didn't make that up. All right. Yeah, but they really, really thought that. And this is also like a true thing too, right? This is definitely, there was a Lifetime movie about this.
I will.
And I know you got it. I know you got it, yo. I know you got it.
We'll get there. Yes. So yeah, I don't foresee, none of these girls got kicked out, right? Like, that's the first sign that their parents are going to help them, is none of them got kicked out. And the second was Peggy being like, yeah, I was a teen mom too. So like, that makes sense. That said, I think that a lot of it did seem more realistic. Let's talk about Fidelia, who chose not to sleep with her first and true husband, Max, but instead
her fob.
That's Jesse McCarthy, isn't it? Right?
It is.
Jesse McCartney.
Can I tell you, I started singing, I don't want another pretty face. I don't want, and I'm like, why am I singing this song as I'm watching this? And I'm like, what's going on in my head? And I'm like,
is that his song?
Down on Dream Street. Yeah, y'all remember Dream Street? I had that on a hit clip. I'm aging myself out here. But it was interesting to see him in that role, because I was like, you're the heartthrob usually, back in the Gap, like, you were the heartthrob. You're the one that girls go after. And now you're like, I'm totally okay with my teenage girlfriend who I've never slept with being pregnant by some dude whose name is Dizzard child. I don't know.
So as a reminder, Dizzer is a repeat offender.
Of course he is.
This is Jeffrey Wigdor. He was in 3 episodes. He has been in Jersey Breakdown 2014, obviously Babes, and he was in Tangled in 2001. That said, if I remember correctly, and I'm checking that I am, yes, Tangled is the episode that Taylor and I did over Thanksgiving, and I said, hey, that guy's Dizzer.
Racking decks and getting sex.
That is it. That is
And
it.
was actually the
Period.
child's father too. Was legitimately, because I like the first time I saw this episode, I was like, oh, he's probably not the dad. Like, you know, that's just too easy for him to actually be the father. And then I was like, oh no, you really were the dad, and you already have 2 other kids. But my confusion was, can you not still prosecute this man or bring charges on him? No, there is not a child, and there's no fidelia because she, you know, decided to take her life in an instance, or was bullied to the point to take her life. But there is a baby and there is proof of the act. So like, it just, I get that it was obviously about the mom harassing this young girl online, but I kind of would want to have seen him go down for that because he was just way too obnoxious. Like,
it's like how Finn was like, I want to arrest him for something. No, I agree. I think they could have, because there was like proof of the assault, but I think at that point it was not worth it for the.
it was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already had 3 sentencings we had to get through. So
Yeah, this episode, when you think about it, we start with a story about this schizophrenic homeless man who was beaten and set on fire. That turns into a story about teen pregnancy, and that turns into a story about cyberbullying and suicide. A lot happened.
So much happened. I will say though, I think it works in this case, and not to jump ahead, but that final scene ties everything together so nicely. And I think, I mean, obviously this one has so many just crazy lines, but I love that moment at the end because it gives it so much more heart too. That's why I think I like this, because it has everything. It has that like comedy aspect. It does touch on a lot of serious things. And then it has that really genuine moment that you don't get to see very often from the show, like to kind of tie it together, which is, I find really nice.
And
totally
the twists
agree.
and turns. Yeah, definitely, Taylor, 100% agree with that.
I love, Felicia, that your mom loved the twists and turns.
Your mom and I will get along.
I was actually thinking, I think Taylor and my mom probably would really get on real well, because my mom likes reality shows more than anything else. She does not watch anything scripted. So when she said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's how I know this is obviously the best show ever, period. Obviously.
She's an icon.
Love it. What else do we want to talk about the episode?
The moms were can we just talk about the moms for 1 second? The moms were so much more introspective than we are. Like, I was like, oh, we're making the most like inappropriate jokes, and the moms were like, yes, it was the underlying issue of mental health. I mean, I was like, oh, well, they did the actual homework. We kind of just were like, let's look in the back of the book and the answers were.
I just wrote down 25 quotes. Like,
we're like, oh,
that's what I contributed to this.
That was, they had great perspective of things, especially as people who don't watch the show. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if your mom watches. My mom said first off the bat she doesn't watch.
She loves you. She must very much love you. Then.
Wow, But it's interesting to hear from you who don't watch
this. She spent money to watch this episode.
You got to pay her back.
That's so sweet. Yeah, you really do.
I was going to buy it for her, but iTunes no longer does that.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, I had $30 of iTunes money that I was going to spend towards my mother watching this episode.
Oh, yeah, that kind of. Well, how about this? My mother wanted to watch it so bad that she watched it on demand. And this is not the lady who watches anything on demand because it has commercials. She don't play the commercial game. She DVRs it all and skips ahead. She ain't got time. So I was like, yeah, that's how I know this episode is really like the best. I mean, obviously it's one of Taylor's favorite episodes. And it just, like Taylor said, it just, everything starts off crazy. I think because you get confused. Every single turn is a twist. And that's what I like. This is like one of those like okay, this is a quintessential SVU episode that has all of those components. And I had to pick, what's a perfect SVU episode? Or somebody's like, I want to watch the first episode. I want to know what the show is kind of about or feel. It would be Babes. That would be definitely on the list.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree.
I think you're right. I think this is the new episode when people go, well, where should I start? I'm like, watch this one.
Like I said, it has everything and it all somehow works together.
Yeah. I'm shocked at how good this one is. Oh, and Felicia just
No, she said mic drop.
Well, who else did I want to talk about? I mean, I'm just so amazed.
Should we talk about Kim Grayley getting strangled?
Sure.
Perhaps.
Debbie Mazar strangles Grayley.
And honestly, I don't blame her. Like, I don't like Kim Grayley, and I was like, you're valid for that.
Oh, that's all you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just don't like Kim Grayley, and I wanted to bring that up again because she's one of the worst lawyers we've ever had.
It's funny because I really like that actress.
Me too. I've liked her in other stuff, but here I'm just like, shut up. Like, go away.
But it is really amazing. You're right that she does get strangled, and I appreciate that because every time I watch this episode, and again, I've seen it many times, every time when Peggy doesn't get, when she's acquitted, I was like, wait, but I know that in the end, Tina goes with Josh's dad. So I was like, how did we, oh, right, she attacks her.
Sprinkle that in there. Yeah, I also love that Britt Robinson's in this. Robinson, sorry. And I love that she's still playing the same age 10 years later.
So here's the thing about that is as soon as she got For the People, I was like, but she's a child.
I know, it's so confusing. She must be in her 30s now, right? Or late 20s?
Or she's hitting 30 any day now.
It's so funny. I love that that's her little niche. She's so good in this episode though, because I feel like kind of grounds it because she's like Fidelia doing her thing, the other friends doing their thing. And so I like kind of following it through her journey because she is very oblivious at first and then she kind of comes to realizations like with all this happening. So I kind of like that we get to see it through her lens and have that connection like I kind of mentioned earlier with Josh, right? Yeah, Josh's dad at the end.
I think it's so interesting. You're right. She does ground the episode, but I think what's so interesting is that she it is the dumb one. I guess ignorant is the word, but she's like she's when they're like, you didn't use a condom, and he goes, well, he wanted to, and I said no. Like, what?
We all did. I love it. We all did.
Oh, Felicia is not happy.
Well, I mean, I guess obviously that's a point. Sorry, my phone was like, it's hot. I guess it's like a point where it's just gross. It's just really, really gross. And that's really all that it comes down to. I do think that maybe the situation, obviously we see the two baby fathers, only ones we get to see are Fidelia's and I'm sorry, I forget the other young lady's name. Josh was the young man who had mental health issues, was her baby's father.
Tina.
So, but it seemed like they actually had more of a connection to have had unprotected sex. I know there's really no excuse for that. You don't want to promote that. I do not promote that. But they seem to have had more of a connection where this other young lady just picked like somebody.
It's a good point.
It was giving me very much more I want a baby because I want somebody to love me and I don't know who's the baby, my child's father, and I have to test 22 men. That's what it was giving me.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's talk about some of our favorite lines. Taylor, you're just going to have to cross them off as Felicia and I go through, and then you can do what's left.
Yeah, sounds good.
Felicia, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go, because it's like my favorite lines were and they both kind of were about Melinda. So my first one is when the guy's trying to like impress the girl, and he's there like, oh, let's see if we can get something else. Also, I worked at a restaurant. That's annoying. You're not sexy. You're not hot. You're just nothing but actually annoying. You're probably not going to even tip what it was worth to stay there anyway. But when he was like, "Oh, how about something exciting?" They're like, "Oh, what did they say?
The only thing flaming is the maitre d'
yeah,
left.
the only thing flaming is the maitre d', and he left an hour ago, and then here
Crossing
comes
that
a
off.
man and literally on fire. And then when Dizzle, whatever that young man's name is, foolish. Malibu's most wanted to be rad. Anyway, when he was like, "Oh, I was over on this train. I saw that Nubian queen, Nubian princess," and I was like, those types of compliments are the absolute worst. So that's like, it was like that cringy like pickup line he said about Melinda, which is crazy that he says that when she's like literally probably the most intelligent person on the show, or as far as like, you know, academically, like she's just such we just know her for knowledge and we don't look at her like that. So for him to say it, it was just kind of weird because she's usually given more respect and more revered because of her knowledge. I would have liked to see Melinda clap back to that, because she has those clapbacks and snapbacks.
She does.
She does not play that. So that would have been interesting to see. But those are two lines that I enjoyed from this episode.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I remember when he said that and I was like, he's not talking about Melinda Warner. She should be respected.
Respect on her name. Yeah, she is to be respected. Didn't even say doctor or anything.
Right. I agree. I also would have loved to have seen her reaction to him. She's amazing. And the only time we've seen her I would say, seen her as a person and not as a doctor, or a sexual being and not as a doctor specifically, is when Finn is hitting on her in the Christmas episode where his ex-wife's brother gets arrested. Is where he's flirting with her and then he gets interrupted. That was the only time we've ever seen her as a sexual being.
Love it.
All right, here are some of my lines. Obviously, wrecking decks and getting sex.
You know it.
What a terrible catchphrase.
Obsessed.
I also have when Benson says babies having babies doesn't bother you, and he says babies killing babies bothers me, because that is the most frustrating thing a man could ever say. I also have no way. What does predisposed mean?
That moment is so good. She plays it so well. No way.
It's beautiful.
Just perfectly clueless. Just perfectly clueless.
Yeah. And then I also have, I'm going to take one of yours from you, Taylor. And it is when Benson says, Fidelia, you need to screw your head on straight. This is a baby we're talking about, not a new shade of lipstick.
Oh, yes.
That's
actually not mine. I have one that she says later that's pretty much the exact same sentiment. Should I just start from the top? I literally probably have like 10 left.
Please do. That said, I will say a lot of these quotes are available on the IMDb for this. It was like, I didn't even mean to. I just wanted to get the babies killing babies one correct. And then I was like, oh, they're all here.
The whole script should be uploaded.
Yes.
Best quotes. It's that memorable. All right, so I'll start us off. What do we got on the menu for tonight? Barbecue. A little too well done. You can't say things like that. You just
so offensive.
But I love that you are. One of the most classic Munch quotes is, "Any idea where a crispy critter came running from?" Bro. Grammel emails 2 girls 1 cup, signs an LOL.
Yeah, I love that.
Shut your ugly face. Amazing insult. The street cleaner woman. Shut your ugly face.
The street cleaner woman.
Yeah, the person that beats up the homeless people when she comes in, the redhead lady.
Sarah. Yep.
I don't have her name. I just call her. I just remember her as Vermin because she says Vermin like 80 times. Like that's maybe pick up a thesaurus. Chastity Circle in my day, we called that the AV Club. Got him. Okay, and now we're getting to my actual favorites because it's all of Olivia and Fidelia's conversation. We're gonna be the hottest MILFs on the block. MILFs? Yeah, it means, oh, I know what it means. Interesting.
Of course she knows what it means.
Of course she knows what it means. Old chicks are totally jealous of me. Girl.
That's the one.
Okay. My actual favorite line of the episode. My favorite of the favorites. A baby is not an accessory. It is not a bracelet or a pair of earrings or a Slammin Pair of Jeans. Slammin Pair of Jeans is so iconic. I want a pair of jeans that literally just says Slammin Pair of Jeans on it so badly. Jesse McCartney, the fact that he's in
I've
this.
decided. Should Taylor ever be pregnant?
No.
I would like a shirt that says Slammin' Pair of Jeans over where the baby is.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm not gonna do that, but maybe
I know
one of my
right
good friends.
Yeah. I think from now on, first of all, why is no one selling baby onesies that say Slammin' Pair of Jeans?
Slammin' Pair of Jeans.
Well, we're gonna be opening a TeePublic store.
Literally, just
look out for the link.
You think I'm kidding? We're about to start selling merch. Go on.
Yeah.
And you know what? We should do that.
I'm making a note.
We should do that, legit. Even Christians make mistakes. I just think it's was delivered so funny by Mr. Jesse McCartney. His whole character was a lot. And then finally, Dizzer, it's the Popo. It's the Popo. And
Very
those are
much
my
giving
lines.
spaghetti vibes.
It's the Popo.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Taylor. I knew you would have them all.
Yeah, you really did.
So I have a lot for us right now. First and foremost, this episode is ripped from 2 headlines. It is ripped from the Pregnancy Pact headline and the story of a cyberbullying that led to suicide. Let me tell you these stories. Also, it was inspired by there were people beating up homeless people, as Felicia mentioned earlier, but not a specific case. So here's the Teen Pregnancy Pact storyline. On June 18th, 2008, okay, so I'm going to mess this up because I'm not from, well, I don't know how to say this. It's a Massachusetts word. Sorry, Massachusetts people. Gloucester High School. I'm going to guess it's like Gloucester or something. Anyway.
Sure. A high school in Massachusetts.
Stupid Massachusetts names. All right. This high school drew international attention as news broke that 18 students had become pregnant in that last year, over 4 times the previous year's reported pregnancies. The principals claimed that some of the girls had made a pact to become pregnant together, one even seeking a homeless 24-year-old man in her pursuit to conceive. Wow. But the mayor quickly responded that they had no confirmation of any pregnancy pact. And finally, a pregnant student interviewed on Good Morning America said there was definitely no pact. There was a group of girls already pregnant that decided they were going to help each other to finish school and raise their kids together. So there was no actual pregnancy pact, but the idea of a pregnancy pact.
So it was a pregnancy accountability group.
Kind of. But like, this was a thing that happened, and then everyone was like, they made a pact, which sounds very
and then
much
Lifetime said, let's make a movie.
Not only that, ready? So there's obviously this episode of SVU. The following March, after this all happened, Bones did an episode about a high school volleyball team. There was a woman who published a book titled Not My Daughter, which was inspired by this the events. The Lifetime movie, The Pregnancy Pact, which came out in 2010. I'm shocked that Taylor has not seen it yet.
I have seen it. Why would you say that?
She's shocked.
I was shocked.
Ever accused me of that?
Because I did it. I did.
There was a documentary called The Gloucester 18. I'm sorry, Boston and Massachusetts. You have weird words. And there was a Spanish miniseries in 2010 called El Pacto, based on.
There was a novella about this. I want to watch the novella because I know that thing was lit. Okay.
There's also a French film in 2011 called 17 Girls, a story of young female friendship and naivete.
Why would they call it 17 when there was definitely 18?
I don't know.
Make that make sense to me.
Maybe it sounds better in French or something.
Maybe.
That's a good point.
So that's the first story. The second story is the suicide of Megan Mayer, who was a teenager, and she hung herself 3 weeks before her 14th birthday in 2006. And here is the story on that. Because she was being bullied by her friend's mom. people need to get lives. So on October 16th, 2006, she was being, sorry, this had to do with MySpace. It's complicated.
Okay.
Here's what you need.
MySpace. Lord, that's a long time ago.
What you need to know is that she was bullied by Lori Drew, who was the mother of her friend, but that Lori Drew was acquitted of cyberbullying in 2009.
Ooh.
That's what you need to know.
Wow.
Y'all over here cancel anybody. Y'all can cancel Lori Drew. Lori Drew needs to stay on the cancel list. Who bullies children? Like, who actually, I kind of look at kids and pets along the same way. Like, if you can be like cruel to like living things that like really have no bearing on you and no control over you, and you're in a position of power, then like you're just really a cruel person. Like, you're just really a cruel person. And if I was that young lady's mom and that woman was free, every chance I saw her, it would be on site. I would be putting my hands and my feet on her every time that I saw her. Because how do you like live with yourself to say mean things to a 13-year-old? So you're saying like 2006. In my head, I'm like, okay, it's like 15 years ago. And I'm like, wow, this girl could have been a grown 30-year-old woman, 31-year-old woman, like just going about her life. Or was she 13? Maybe she's like 28, 29. I don't know, just a young woman like who would still be very young, even though this happened so long ago. Like, you killed somebody and got away with it. And there's other kids that this has happened to too. Maybe not parents, but just definitely the cyberbullying, because it just doesn't stop. Like, I don't know about y'all, I definitely got bullied in school sometimes, but like I got to go home and my bullies didn't live there, or in my cell phone, or in my computer, or they were nowhere to be found. So I got a break. But like, these kids don't ever get a break from these people.
Right. I mean, we're all internet people. People on the internet. So we do, I'm assuming, I mean, maybe it's just me, get internet harassment from strangers. I didn't think it was just me, but I don't want to speak for both of you.
No, it's not just you.
Not just you.
And
but
honestly,
as full-grown adults though, like as full-grown adults, we never had to deal with that in growing up. And we kind of pick this too, but you don't get to pick to be on the internet. It's like you're on the internet as soon as you're an infant now.
Yeah, the thing is, like, we chose to be on the internet. And also, like, I do get internet harassment from children. And you know what I don't ever do is bully them back.
Right.
I might make fun of them for wasting their time. Like, but I'm never going to attack them. You know what I mean? I'm not going to bully them for bullying me. I'm going to point out that they should do something better with their lives. But
I'm wondering,
yes,
a big thing in this episode was that the laws haven't caught up to that yet.
Right.
And I feel like they have a little bit more now, because I remember reading cases. There was one in the past couple of years that was really prominent about the girl who like drove her boyfriend to suicide, or he was like asking if he should do it. He was like suicidal and she was encouraging it. Yep. I don't know if you guys remember that case, but I think that she got prosecuted and went to jail. And so I think that the laws I don't think they're perfect, of course, like the internet's moving so fast and evolving so fast and laws work so slowly, but I think that there are more laws on the books now. So I think it's really interesting to go back and see when that wasn't the case and how it's kind of changed and gotten a little bit better.
Absolutely. Shall we head into our weekly poll?
Sure. So last week we did a special episode because Sarah Storm was on with us, which was so much fun. And we asked what your favorite episode that she appeared in was. Criminal Pathology, that's the one she was in for literally 2 seconds. That got 0 votes, so that makes sense. That's the one that I couldn't actually fit in the poll, so I just did it below the tweet. So
also, to be fair, that was the one that we discovered that she had shot separately from what was actually happening, and I think that is so fascinating. But
it wasn't a big one for her, so it makes sense that it wasn't like a fave, but I figured I would get yelled at if I didn't put it in there somehow.
That's true, you would have. I appreciate it.
We have, interestingly enough, Beast Obsession came in 4th place with 15.4% of the votes, which I'm pretty shocked by because
someone was very upset about this on Twitter.
I wasn't upset because it's not my personal favorite, but I was surprised
tweeted
because
at us that they were upset about.
yeah, it's a very intense one. In third place, we had Post-Mortem Blues. That's season 15, episode 21. That got 23.1% of the vote.
That's the one where we see that that's the one where she comes back to talk to the grand jury.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, yeah.
And then in second place, we have Psychotherapist. That's the first one she was in, season 15, episode 10. That's 26.9% of the votes. And coming in first place, I think this is probably my favorite of them too, Nationwide Manhunt, which is season 17, episode 14, with 34.6% of the votes.
Interesting.
That's her last appearance, which is it's a great one. I like that one a lot.
I am shocked. All right, go on.
I'm surprised too. This week, I was going to do teen pregnancy, but we did that one in February. We were like the polls are getting harder and harder. But when I saw Jesse McCartney, I said, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And that is favorite episode with a teen pop star. So I'll do it in the order of what the results are right now. Poor Sabrina Carpenter has 0% of the vote so far.
No. Here's why she has that. Because
the driver's license drama?
No.
I could unpack it for you.
I'm going to yell at you now. You put that one in, and I was like, she's barely in that. I had to go and check and be like, who was she in that? And I don't even believe that it's her, even though I see that it is. I'm aware, but I don't even accept it. That's why. Go on.
I mean, it's a good episode though. That also has Tara Manning in it.
It's one of my favorites.
She deserves a vote at least. It should have 0.
All right, go on.
Give me sass. You do every week. I should be used to it by now. In third place right now, we have Storm with Keke Palmer, which is actually a great episode. That has 9% so far. That's the one with the hurricane. And she lives with a guy who's like, right?
That's like one of my favorite episodes. Her, well, she's like, she fled from Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, it's her and 2 kids, and they're staying with sister, Russell Hornsby, who is a very, very sweet man. So it's awkward that he was a child abuser who kidnapped these kids. But go on.
That's such a good episode.
Anthrax episode too.
Yes.
That was I agree. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me hear the other ones. I shouldn't have voted.
That's okay. Coming in at second place at the current moment is the one we just discussed, Babes, which whatever. I can't actually believe this right now. I hope justice gets done within the next week. Because first place, I mean, it's a fun episode. It's not better than Babes though, is Selfish with Hilary Duff, where her kid has smallpox or measles.
Measles. Oh my God.
Playground.
Rewatching that episode during the pandemic.
This is the Casey Anthony one.
Yep. I think so.
I've never not liked Hilary Duff in something, but her character, and I was like, I'm not a fan. But because I'm always used to like loving her, so I really liked the episode because you kind of get to see her darker.
She did great.
Amazing.
She did great.
Such a crazy episode. And you're right, it's very like unsettling to watch at this current moment.
I rewatched it because it was on, obviously. And I was like, oh, this makes me so uncomfortable during our current situation because it's so accurate.
Yeah. But that's this week's poll. We'll tell you where to find that in just a few minutes.
All right, so next up is what did we learn? And before we do that, I actually have some more knowledge for everybody, if you don't mind.
Please.
Because this isn't something I learned, this is something I knew, but I thought that it should be brought to everyone's attention.
Yes, do it.
So the resource that I'm pulling this from is from the National Library of Medicine. It's a 2008 article discussing abstinence-only education versus comprehensive sex education. And the results, this is just the conclusion. If you would like the full case, I'm happy to tweet out this link. But the results are that teaching about contraception was not associated with increased risk of adolescent sexual activity or STD. Adolescents who received comprehensive sex education had a lower risk of pregnancy than adolescents who received abstinence-only or no sex education.
Yep.
That is the conclusion of the study. And for those
Not
who
surprised
didn't
at all.
understand it, basically what it means is learning abstinence only sex ed means there's a higher risk of teen pregnancy. So if you learn about condoms, there is no proof that you are more likely to see a rise in teen sexual activity, but you also will not have a rise in teen pregnancy.
Yep. That makes lots of sense
That
to me
is
personally.
very funny. I had a conversation with my wax lady about that, and we were talking. Hey, look, you get to know each other pretty intimately. I was talking to her. We were saying how she's a mother, and so we were saying how, you know, like sometimes maybe in older generations they didn't talk about things at all, and that level of just not even miscommunication, but just a choice to not make any communication about it had been detrimental to so many people's lives. And that sometimes when kids ask questions, people just automatically assume that, oh, they want to do the thing. It's like, no, they don't want to do the thing that they might be asking about. They really just might actually be looking to you for information. So I'm not a parent. I know today's Mother's Day. One day I hope to be a mom, but I really hope that my kids will come to me. I'll answer their questions, because why wouldn't you rather them ask you than ask the internet or their other dumb friends that don't know anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 5 adolescent brains do not equal an adult one. As we can see, there were 18 in the pregnancy pack and 5 in this pregnancy pack doesn't equal an adult brain, you know? So it's just like, I get that makes perfect sense. You just educated them, and then they made their own choices based off the information that they had. They don't have the information, and they're just gonna slip up and not know. It's funny. I talked to another friend recently who never had any sex education from K to infinity into adulthood, and she was late on her cycle and thought that she had become pregnant because she did not know how it occurred. She thought maybe that there was sperm on something that she had ingested, and then that is how because she didn't know. So it's like, if you don't tell these kids, they're really going to come up with just different conclusions all on their own. So it's better to just tell them what it is.
True.
And use the real names or stuff. Don't say PP and cookie
Right.
and stuff. Call it a penis and a vagina, because that's what it is. Look at Taylor's like, they're laughing.
No, you're
just
totally
thinking like a cookie just got me.
Think about for those who watched Bridgerton. There's a really great scene where like they clearly have no idea because no one's telling them how it works. And I think that's very. We're not going to talk about him right now. It's very interesting. You need a second, Felicia?
I'm all right.
All right, but let's talk about what we learned now that I just needed to use this moment to get on my soapbox.
It's true. I know. I actually have something that I learned when I first watched it, but I've remembered it since then. And it's when Melinda is talking about how she could get like fingerprints and information of the skin, and you have to like juice them up and like inject them with something, which I thought was so interesting. And I always remember that scene. Like, it's gross, but it's like so fascinating to me, where she has to put it in, put the little syringe in, and then she can get information, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, when that scene happened, I was thinking about my mom who doesn't like gross stuff, and I was like, "Oh, she's looking away."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I feel bad."
It's grody, but it's fascinating too.
Yeah. Felicia, did you learn something?
Oh man, I just honestly I learned something as soon as the moms got on here and started teaching us about all of their insight. I was like, wow, yeah, it did kick off with people just really not having knowledge about mental health and not understanding what that meant. And it's interesting, you know, Yael was pointing out some overt stereotypes about, like, you know, like Catholic New England type of communities, right? And then one of those things too was just also the mental health aspect, and not really getting him care, and his dad even saying, you know, he was fine, he was going to a job interview, it was great. And sometimes people look at mental health in communities where it's just like, oh, it's just a thing, or oh, it's just a wave, or, you know, people don't really understand, because I mean, to be quite honest, and maybe somebody might be upset by listening to this, but science and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. You can still believe in God and have your faith and fully have 100% belief in that faith system, and also go get mental health services, because It's faith without works is dead. So if you don't actually like do something to believe that there are people out there you can actually get help for, that are maybe like Christian counselors, or they specifically work with whatever particular group, marginalized group, or other group that you're in or whatever. There are so many different specifications. So yeah, that this all really is a mental health thing, because if he had gotten the care he needed, he might not be in a position to have had sex with that young lady, and in the position for her to get pregnant, for her brother to find out about it, kill him, and then for her mama to be a trash ass mother and bully a little girl into killing herself. So I guess maybe just being more open to talk about mental health issues and learning more about it. That's all I learned.
I just have one more thing that I learned / was so confused about. What was the business of when the street sweeper people were on the roof taking pictures of drunk people so they could buy them?
So
what? Is that a thing? Yeah.
Yes. So back in the day, there was a thing.
Good eye, Taylor.
What was that?
Hold on one second.
Is it like Girls Gone Wild when they
No.
Woo, woo? No.
So back in the day, there was a thing when you'd go to clubs, there would be people there to take your photo during, like, in the club. And the idea was, at the end of the night, you'd go to a website and there'd be pictures of you and your friends at the club. And it would be branded with the like club or the photographer's like watermark. And you could buy these photos. Hilariously, I'd literally only seen it in clubs internationally. I'd never seen this in the US. So this was definitely a thing. I have photos from clubs in Israel with my cousins that are watermarked with whatever bull we were at.
Fascinating. That's crazy to me.
That is really cool.
This is before camera phones.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Or before quality camera phones, because I'm thinking I did have a little flip phone that had a camera on it back then, but it would never be able to take a picture in a club in a dark room.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that she got in everyone's photos, I think, was so interesting.
I love it.
I will say this. I remember watching it this time and being like, ooh, that's something I learned. Oh, perfect. Have no clue what it was. So I like came up with stuff, but I have no idea what I like remember being like, that's something I learned. And it may have been Benson's facts about teen pregnancy and that like they're, less likely to finish high school.
Yeah.
But also I don't think that's
like Teen Mom taught us that. Like I don't know if you guys like watched that show.
I mean, but also I think just knowledge taught me that.
Yeah. And teen moms having other teen moms and their kids becoming teen parents. Like this woman was a teen mom and now her daughter, is going to be a teen mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we learned. I learned also, I guess I learned that our moms are so thoughtful and took this assignment very seriously.
So yes, like understanding the assignment was, yes, they understood the assignment better than us.
Yeah, correct.
I so appreciate that. All right. Well, for those who haven't checked out our last episode, you may not have heard. We're doing a little bit of a contest here. So on every episode, starting last week, so this week as well, going forward till the season 22 finale episode, if you leave us a rating and review on iTunes or a comment on one of our YouTube videos, you could do both. You will be entered into a contest to pick the episode we do after the finale. So that is the contest that we are doing. I'm going to throw out a suggestion that you pick an episode that maybe Taylor hates. So maybe a William Lewis episode.
Why would you say that?
Because she loves it and she wants to do it, and I'm in the middle. So it's really just you, Taylor.
That's so mean. We've already discussed so many of them.
We haven't
there are
talked
so
about
many
the first
things
one.
in that whole arc, though. There are like multiple pieces of that. I'm sorry, Taylor. Like
I'm not saying we have to do it.
So
I'm just
mean. I'm leaving.
Just incentive for people to enter the contest.
Or you can pick another fantastic one that I love.
You could also do that.
If you want me to love you back.
I'm just saying, enter this contest. Taylor, did we have any iTunes ratings or reviews?
Oh, let me check. I'm sorry. I've been traveling this week. I have forgotten to check. Say something else while I check.
While you do that, as a reminder, if you need the RAINN Hotline, that number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. I'm also going to give some shout outs to people who are in the chat. So far, Zach is in the chat. Zach is our only one in the chat, laughing at the idea of us torturing Taylor. We did have YouTube comments. I did see that. So, Taylor.
Sorry, I
go
really
back.
did.
I go back and read them all the time. Like even
I do too.
like, the old ones. And I don't know about y'all. Well, like because I just don't know sometimes what to say. I get like really awkward sometimes. I'm a very awkward person. But I just read them on days like I don't feel maybe so great, and I'm like, oh, there's people who actually really enjoy the show, like what we do here, and so it's like, oh, you know, or just things like that. I'm gonna do better at responding. I'm like scared to respond on YouTube. It goes down in the comment section. I don't usually tend to comment on things because like I don't like to be added with attitude, you know. I don't usually comment on things.
We got one comment.
I just have a history of this. See, I got PTSD from working as a host, and people on the internet being mad at us.
That's true. People on the internet are mean. But we did get a comment, someone asking us to do an episode that we did. And
Wildlife. I read it and I saw it. Yes, we did wildlife. So
I didn't want to be mean, but we did it.
We did. We don't have any new iTunes comments. I think we might have some new ratings, but I can't see who did that. So please leave a comment as well so we can actually shout you out by name.
And if your comment is just the suggestion or for whatever episode you would like us to do, that's also fine. You don't have to say anything specific.
No, say anything you'd like.
Yeah.
As long as you leave 5 stars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I should say technically the rating review we'd like is a 5-star and a thumbs up.
I mean, if it's less, like, that's the rules. You're technically following them, but like,
no. Here's the new rule: if you're going to give us less than 5 stars, I would like to know what we can improve upon.
Yeah. How can we make it better? I feel like we're all open. We're pretty open to like criticism and getting better, and we love this show. So why wouldn't we want to make it the absolute best it can possibly be? And if you say something that's crude, we'll just talk about you amongst ourselves and won't put it on the internet.
Also, how likely are you to buy some merch? Because I'm dead serious. We're gonna have a meeting about this right now when we finish the show.
I was like, oh, she ain't playing about that merch. When she said, I was like, oh, she ain't playing.
Yep. All right. Well, that's
here for it.
I love it. That's basically all there is to say about Babes. One of the best episodes. I think Taylor's description of why it is the best is really solid.
Thank you.
So on that note,
argument.
Where, Taylor, can everyone find you in the poll?
Yes, find me and the poll on Twitter at alphabet_Ann. And you can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Case_.
Amazing. Felicia, is there somewhere we should plug for your mom?
I am, oh my gosh, my mom, right? I told her that I think that she should just go review reality shows online. I'm like, I think you would be really good at it. So like, you should do it. So I'm going to I'll let you guys know. I'm working on her this week and see.
If she needs a guest to talk Housewives, I would be more than happy.
Oh yeah, Houses of Potomac. That's it for her. That's her show. So I was like, y'all are here. Y'all are definitely here with it. If you want to find me while I'm trying to convince my mom to start her own review channel, I'll be on Instagram at it's Felicia Michelle. Probably just like I just moved, just enjoy my best life, and yeah, just that's what I'm gonna be doing, and seeing how high I can get my hair to touch the sky. That's what I'll be doing over there.
So beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to my mom, Yafa, who is not on the internet. Well, she is, but do not friend her.
She is, but don't talk to my mom.
Don't talk to my mother. Leave her alone. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYG. IEL. I think that's all I got to tell you about. Yeah, let's call it a day. Thanks, everybody.
Are we? Oh, wait. Are we doing the thing?
We'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
Bye,
signals.
everybody.
Bye.